The Promise of Tomorrow. Patch 7.3 of Final Fantasy XIV Dawntrail is fast approaching, coming out in early August. And we have some updates to go over, some news, everybody. For they have updated the website to give us a summary of the content coming in 7.3. A list of features, some new screenshots, pictures. Hello, everybody. I am Jmulls, and let's get right on into this. First up, we have the main artwork for the patch, featuring all the characters we've come to know over the course of Dawntrail. The title of the patch feels as if it's going to be ending off on a hopeful note, the promise of tomorrow. It's very golden and bright, and I have to imagine that the patch is going to end off on a super positive note. We probably beat Calyx and stuff, everything ends off happy, and we're good to go. So let's move on to the next section here. New story, let memories shine as golden light, a dawn to banish darkest night. I always like those little poems/rhymes they give for each patch and story. But again, building off that aesthetic this patch is seemingly going for, with that hopeful tone. Unless this is a massive bait and switch and everything ends up pear-shaped at the end, I imagine we're going to be beating Calyx and the day will be saved. We have a few screenshots here, one with Fiend and the entire crew, in some kind of digitized room. We can see the electrode behind the circuitry, little golden light show that we have here. I imagine we'll probably be encountering Calyx here. Maybe it's inside the statue that they showed off in the live letter for the big fight. We have the mechanical soldier seemingly being like hacked into and manipulated, going off the faceplate here. Looks rather cool to me. We have an insane PC setup. It's like I have to imagine Shayla's co-streaming to like 15 different websites. And then we have our boy Calyx. Aura farming in living memory amidst the setting sun. We can see the big statue in the background here. We've seen him in this area before at the end of one of the patches, just like, 7.2, just sitting on top of the statue. Man's got his Samsung stylus ready to go, and the text reads, "Modified memories, neo-regulators, and rampaging soldiers. Recent events have given rise to uncertainty and confusion as a seemingly contagious fear of death erodes the joy from the faces of Alexandria's citizens. Desperate to preserve the former queen's beloved kingdom, the Warrior of Light rushes from one crisis to the next." Just as a reminder, 7.3 is the finale of the Dawntrail storyline, and afterwards, we'll be going back to that old patch cadence Final Fantasy XIV was known for, where the point 3 is the conclusion of that expansion storyline, and then point 4 and point 5 serve to transition us into the next expansion, as opposed to Endwalker, where the patches were one self-contained narrative. Next up, we have the Alliance raid, and despite never playing Final Fantasy XI myself, I am particularly interested in this because the visuals look so dang cool. I mean, dude, look at this! Look how pretty it looks. This was one of my favorite elements of the first Alliance raid for Dawntrail, was just the visual spectacle that we saw, was taking those zones from Final Fantasy XI and giving those zones a Final Fantasy XIV coat of paint. It looks absolutely gorgeous. This is the kind of stuff I love to see. And like, look at this snow zone. I've been hankering for a good snow zone in Final Fantasy XIV for a while now, and I'm not counting Gollumald because that was just a giant box. And it's like, my god, I low-key wish these were the zones we got to explore in full instead of just being instances for a raid, They look so cool. And then we have the lizard people. They're scaly. But yeah, I quite enjoyed the story with the Alliance raid last time, and I'll be interested to see it expanded on and continued. Yoctel now plays host to a rift in reality, connecting our world to that of Vana'diel and the city of Juno. And it is there in this land of bygone heroes and forgotten adventures that a new threat rises. Just always have to like cross our hearts and cross our fingers hoping that, it's not too dependent on background knowledge of Final Fantasy XI. And while I'm like somewhat interested in the story going on here, I'm mostly interested in just the raid itself. I quite enjoyed the first one. I thought it was a ton of fun. And my god, these locations. If the next expansion can have visuals akin to this, I'm so on board. This is the kind of fantasy that I want to see out of Final Fantasy XIV more of. Giant castles, sprawling wastes with giant, mysterious, magical towers. I'll eat it up every day. Next up, we have the new dungeon, the Meso Terminal. I mean, like, let's be fair here, it's a dungeon. Also, this is the place from that one screenshot from before with the main story. The first first one here, with Sphene, Alize, Y'shtola, Wuklamat, a couple of people in the background, the Warrior of Light. You can see from the background here, it matches up 1-for-1 with the dungeon, the Meso Terminal. So I imagine this will be like the final area, and we'll have some kind of story event that happens here. The dungeon itself looks visually interesting to me. I mean, it's a dungeon, not expecting the world from it mechanically and anything like that. I'm just hoping the story associated with it will be rather interesting and cool. Again, continuing the trend in Dawntrail with just like the glamour sets we get in this patch and just overall expansion. Not for me. I'm never gonna use like any of this besides like maybe this set, like, and that's a maybe. I could see myself maybe making use of this hat, but it's easily been one of the weakest elements for Dawntrail for me, and it's just personal preference and all that, but the glamour sets just don't do anything for me. The lights of living memory no longer shine, and the towering statue at its center stands silent amidst the wistful echoes of lives once lived. The Meso Terminal. It is at once a monument to the existence of the Alexandrian people and a resting place for their many memories. Yeah, okay, so I was right before. We're going to living memory. I imagine living memory will be taking center stage for a lot of this patch, because we saw Calyx aura farming on top of the statue in living memory as well before in the MSQ section. The dungeon itself takes place in living memory, probably within the giant statue, if I were to hazard a guess, or like directly under it, something akin to that. And I also imagine the trial itself takes place in living memory. They kind of spoil it here because, yeah, they blur the background, but that is still the background of the Meso Terminal, right? Like, it's just this stuff in the background here, with the sickest game of Connect 4 going on, you know? So either Sphene is about to hit the gritty, or she's about to Naruto run at the speed of light. But I imagine the flow is going to be, we do the dungeon, we have a story segment, and then in that final area in the dungeon, we have the trial. They've done that before. I wouldn't be surprised if they do that again here. As the Warrior of Light pursues a confrontation with Calyx, a new threat of dreadful aspect rises to bar their path. Now, they have not told us the name of this trial, so maybe it's a reference to FF9. That initial image they showed back at the first live letter made me think as if we were going to fight that giant statue itself. But, like, maybe it's just going to be a reference to FF9, like, maybe it could be something called Garland, or, like, Calyx uses himself with something, and he just gets the name of some kind of entity from FF9. And then we get the final blurb of all the pertinent information for the patch. New to patch 7.3, main scenario, the promise of tomorrow, new alliance raid, echoes of Enadiel, Sandoria, the second walk, new dungeon, the Meso Terminal, new trial, triple question mark, my favorite. Thank God it's not a quadruple question mark, we'd be in really bad shape then. A new Unreal trial, new treasure dungeon, crystalline conflict update, weapon enhancement quest, phantom weapons. So the next stage in a relic weapon, let's just like cross our fingers and hope it's not the Realm Reborn books. New deep dungeon, Pilgrim's Traverse, Allied Society quest Yakoi, inconceivably further Hildebrand adventures, I'm looking forward to that one. Cosmic exploration and tool enhancement quest, Cosmic Tools, chat bubble feature, new PvP gear, new mounts, minions and emotes, additional duty support, additional Doman Mahjong voices, Wuklamat, Kona, and Bakul Jaja, and more. Some content will be made available via patch updates at a later date. Yeah, I have to imagine we're not going to be seeing the Cosmic exploration news zone, well, they also said this, until 7.3.1, and I have to imagine we're not seeing the new deep dungeon until 7.3.5. Okay, let's address the elephant in the room. This is just another Final Fantasy XIV patch in terms of what's actually happening here. There's been a lot of negativity in the community, we've talked about that extensively, and I don't really see anything in 7.3 addressing the mechanical feedback and issues that a lot of people have with the patch cadence and the content cycle of Final Fantasy XIV. Maybe they can knock it out of the park with the deep dungeon. I'm kind of just expecting it to be another deep dungeon, but instead of going up or down, we go side to side. I don't really see the needle moving for anyone when it comes to this patch. Like, in a lot of ways, it is a Final Fantasy XIV patch, the patch. If you already enjoy that, I imagine you will enjoy this patch just as much as any other. If you've been hesitant or wanting a reason to come back, I doubt this will be that unless the story knocks it out of the park, and like, who knows, maybe it will. Speaking of, though, let's talk about the story, because that, to me, has the best potential to be the most memorable element of 7.3. Look, it's no real secret that a lot of people didn't like the story in Dawntrail. People didn't like the writing, they didn't like the dialogue, they didn't like the voice acting, they didn't like Wuklamot being such a big role, they didn't like that character to begin with, they didn't like the pacing, they didn't like the stakes. There's a lot of reasons that people didn't like Dawntrail. I think the story has gotten way better with patch 7.2. I thought it got a little bit better with 7.1, but drastically better with 7.2. And the reason I'm looking forward to 7.3 so much, personally, is because I am now invested in the character Asfine and what's going on with the story in patch 7.3. And while I think this patch will close the book on Dawntrail and transition us into the future, or not even like fully transition us, it's just going to close the book on Dawntrail first and foremost, I think the main lasting legacy of this story will be twofold. A lot of people's negative reaction to the first part of Dawntrail, that being 0.0 and 0.1, but the lasting legacy, that is, Sphene is almost certainly going to become a new main party member going into the future. She will probably be a main traveling companion just because that's kind of been the way they've been building her as a character with 7.2. You can even see here, she has the book. In a lot of ways, 7.2 reintroduced this version as Sphene, but also set up the fact that she wants to help out. They are giving her her own job. She's going scholar slash summoner in all likelihood to be a parallel to Garnet slash Dagger from Final Fantasy IX. I don't see them doing that just for one patch payoff. I see them trying to take this character that is probably, and in my opinion is, the best part of Dawntrail's overall story and take it into the future. Because one of the things a lot of people, myself included, have been talking about for a while now has been this game's need to establish a new cast of characters for us to care about and want to follow their stories going into the future, because we've already been there, done that with the Scions. I don't want them to die or anything like that, but I think the spotlight needs to shift towards new blood, to new characters, but they need to be good and interesting, and I need to have a reason to care about them and want to see them developed. Sphene is far and away the best character to fill that role, in my opinion. Wuklamot at this point is just a poisoned character. You just have to bench her for a long time if you ever even bring her back. I've said this before, I said that even back in 7.0, I think she's gonna have that Amaric role, where it's like, during that story, when we're in that part of the world, she's a massive main character, a bunch of story, a bunch of development, a bunch of spotlight, and then when we leave that location, we rarely ever see her again, unless we have a reason to go back to that part of the world, in which case we might have a passing greeting with her. I don't see her being a main character moving forward. She is the leader of a nation, she's going to stay behind. Very similar to Lise in that regard as well. When it comes to Sphene, yeah, she cares about the people of Alexandria, but they also made it a point to state, yeah, she cares about the people of Alexandria, but it's not her kingdom anymore. And I think this will be the best part of Dawntrail's legacy. The fact we get Sphene out of it. I think this is a character they want to continue to explore, to work alongside us. Maybe they'll like sideline her for 7.4 and 5, maybe, and have her do something else in a Scions of the Seventh Dawn kind of way. But I imagine when we get to 8.0, she will be coming alongside us. And in regards to how negative a lot of people were about Dawntrail's story, I think this is like the best case scenario after all that's happened. Get a character that genuinely a lot of people like, you know, besides the people that are always negative about everything in this game. The general sentiment that I saw, at least, and also just how I felt, was that people really loved the character Asfine in 7.2. They're really onto something here. And considering how down and out a lot of people were about this game's story and future potential, again, I think this is the best case scenario from 7.2 on. I'll be interested to find out. You know I'll be reacting to the live letter for 7.3 upcoming. I'll be here talking about it, breaking it all down, and if you want to stay tuned for that, make sure to leave a like and subscribe on this video. Follow me on TikTok, Twitch, and Twitter, Jmulls J. I have a Discord in the description down below. You know we'll be in patch 7.3 the day it comes out on this channel, on my Twitch. And if you want to find out how we got here with all this negativity surrounding Final Fantasy XIV, you should really check out this video for more. Stay safe, have a great day, and I'll see you all next time. Bye-bye, everybody, until we meet again!